Sweet. So it looks like we got some people coming in from the waiting room here. Really appreciate everyone joining today. We are probably going to wait 2 to 3 minutes just to give time for everyone, give them a chance to filter in before we get going with the content here. But again, really appreciate the attendance today. Hopefully this will be really good and really beneficial for all involved. So just going to give a couple more minutes here. While you're waiting, feel free to drop in the chat where you're joining us from, or even, name of your company. We'd love to see kind of who's listening in today. And like I said, we'll get going in a couple minutes here.
Oh, some BC. All right.
There we go.
This is great. I get to see the chat too, which is pretty wild.
Yeah. And I get to see like my bucket list of pieces I want to go visit. It's just kind of filtered.
Nantucket, BC. Yeah, this is keep going, guys.
Yeah. A lot of these are more exciting than Omaha, Nebraska, but
St. Diego. Yeah. Movie reference, sorry.
Houston, Nantucket. Don't sell Omaha short. Yeah, it'll exceed your expectations. That's what we always say. I'm not going to comment on where your expectations may be, but it will definitely exceed them. All right, we're a couple minutes here.
Now just to get in.
Hollywood. We're good. All right. This is cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so we're getting close to about 100 people. So I'll go ahead and kick off with some of the boring stuff, some admin items, a little bit about me, and then we'll get into the main meat and potatoes from the CopeGrand team. So my name is Charlie Burtwhistle. I'm going to be moderating today. I'm our Senior Director of Core Subscription here at Buildertrend. So really what that means is just working with kind of the entire customer lifecycle from marketing, sales, CS, or growth to just ensure alignment, help operationalize different things that they want to put in place to really ensure that we're improving the customer experience at every stop along the way here. So the other hat I wear at Buildertrend, little shameless plug here for the Building Code, which is our flagship podcast. If you guys want to check that out, we have about 200 episodes out and they're all interviewing our customers just like we are today. So if you like this content and don't hate me too much and want to hear more, feel free to check that out anywhere you listen to podcasts. So first and foremost, I want to thank the CopeGrand team for their time today. This is very cool, not something that we expect a lot of our customers to do. So we're always really thankful when someone raises their hand to chime in on an opportunity like this. So thank you guys not only for your time, but also for your transparency. We had a practice run last week and they said, hey, our main goal is to make this as beneficial for the attendees as possible. And in order to do that, they're being super transparent about some of their internal processes and the way they operate their business, which is not something we would typically ask someone to do for an audience of 100 plus, other home builders out there that are potentially competing. So thank you guys for making this as beneficial as possible. Obviously, everything we're showing today is sample data and on a demo job. So not real, informative data, but it should be exactly how they're operating their business. So really thank you guys for that level of transparency. I'll be moderating QA kind of as we go. So if you guys want to use the actual QA feature to drop your questions in as we go, I'll try to mix in as many of those questions organically as I can to kind of keep us moving. But I've also committed to save at least 15 minutes at the very end for more of an open forum Q&A. So if you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or in the QA feature, or feel free to hold on to them at the end and we'll try to dive into as many as possible. We are also recording this and it will be sent out to all attendees afterwards. So I'm sure the CopeGrand team is going to be dropping a ton of really good nuggets. Don't worry about scrambling to try to take notes. We will send the recording out after for you all to watch again or share with your team. And then the last kind of thing is this will be chunked into kind of two sections. The first part will be more so high level discussion about cost plus kind of as a mindset and really focusing on accountability and openness. And then the second half is super exciting. They're actually going to share their screens and walk through their Buildertrend workflows and the actual features that they use to implement this process. So super excited. I think it's going to be great. And I appreciate you guys again for making the time today to host this with me.
Great.
So, to kick things off, Adam, I'll probably toss it over to you. Would love just a quick high-level introduction of CopeGrand as a business and the team members that you have on the call today.
Great. So, Charlie, thank you. And guys, I think we are going to keep this pretty organized, but I'm also not opposed to going down rabbit holes for what you all want to hear about. So today's not going to be an instructional video how to use Buildertrend. It's really just a demonstration of how CopeGrand uses it, and particular to how we utilize and how we've come to evolve in our cost plus workflow. So excited to get into that. We've got my brother, Ben Copenhaver, and partner in CopeGrand Homes. We've been in Charleston now going on almost a decade. We've been growing every single year. A number of people on our team are on this call too, so thank you guys for being here out of support. We wouldn't have been able to do what we do now without just the most bad to the bone team. So all of this credit that we go through today was developed from the hard work of these guys, and I'm very passionate about that. Another one here on call, Bud Oley. Bud and I have spent 30 years together now, which is pretty special too. So my previous with Bud, won't get too far into that, but he hazed me for a good solid decade until we ended up opening up CopeGrand in Charleston, South Carolina. Now Bud's down here with us, and that's very special for us to have him with us on our team. So Bud is one of our, no, Bud is the Buildertrend champion on our team. There's a lot of folks that are champions of it, but if there's a ringleader saying rah rah every single day, how does Buildertrend want us to do this? It's Bud Oley. So we really do thank him for all of his help with us on our team. So with that, I really want to keep the introduction brief. I was the one who asked Charlie, could we keep a solid 15, 20 minutes, no doubt about it, at the end for you guys to ask questions? Because I don't want to assume what you guys get out of the call today. I really want you to let us know what you want to get out of the call today. So we're here for that. And like Charlie said, we are going to be 100% transparent with what we do. So ask us the easy questions, ask us the hard ones. A lot of it we're probably going to be able to demonstrate with our screen share on Buildertrend. So keep track of that. Go ahead and also ask it right away if you would. If you've got a question that develops, go ahead and ask it. There's some moderators behind the screens here, making sure that we organize the questions so that they are kind of in tandem at the end as we get to that. So, all right, Charlie, I'll give it to you.
Sweet, appreciate that. I think as we dive in to kind of kick things off, obviously we're here today to talk about managing cost plus projects. Before your team walks us through how to do this in Buildertrend, I think what we're really looking for here is just kind of set the stage and talk about, what is cost plus? What are the benefits of doing it, not just for the builder, but for the clients as well? And maybe what's the timeline been as you've transitioned away from kind of the fixed cost pricing to more of a cost plus mindset?
Sure. Yeah. All right. So we'll unpack a bit of that. We just with cost plus in general, I sent out a video on Instagram. Maybe many of you found that, where I was talking about cost plus, and then I really mentioned this really important word about accountability. I've known of cost plus for years and years and years. Been trained on it initially, but when we first started CopeGrand, we didn't offer cost plus as an option. It was just stipulated sum, and it was probably good for a good reason in hindsight. What caused us to go to cost plus over the years was in fact COVID, hands down. We were doing a little bit here and there. Really, it was for specialty projects where we might not have known the entire scope. We knew it was going to change, and our client said, "Hey, you know what? Let's just agree to some terms and go into the project, and we'll see how it goes." We've learned a lot from those experiences too, and a lot of what we're going to talk about today our process has been refined for those experiences as well. So we started off in stipulated sum. We still maintain stipulated sum contracts and projects today, but we're doing a lot of cost plus projects today. And what we're enjoying about that is, particularly on the cost plus side, is it's given us an opportunity to have trust relationships with our clients that otherwise didn't exist in a stipulated sum agreement. Oftentimes, folks in stipulated sum agreements are still curious about what's behind the curtain. How much is the builder making off of me? How much, should I shop this project? Like, there's uncertainty in their mind about, are the decisions we're making related to this builder or that builder or contractor, are they based on the same fundamentals? Because each one of them has a different type of proposal. So it's really difficult to go and align these proposals side by side and make any differentiation. So there is a trust factor that you will gain by offering cost plus, but there's also one that you'll destroy. You'll destroy so many relationships if you're not accountable to your numbers and to your details that you offer through your cost plus contracts and project management. And so a lot of what we're going to talk about today is how we've utilized Buildertrend and developed details and systems and the procedures using Buildertrend's best practices. I'm going to put my hands up a number of times today for a particular reason. It just happens to be a thing with us at CopeGrand. And we're going to talk about how we protected ourselves while going cost plus. And I really am speaking to that and offering it for the industry too. If you're going to go to cost plus, please prepare to do it. Please make sure that you've got the contract language that allow you to do it. Please make sure that you've got the team that's going to allow you to execute on it. And please make sure that you've got the software that's going to allow you to organize those workflows, the expenses, the costs, and the invoicing, and be able to maintain a transparent view with high levels of communication to your clients. So we'll cover a lot of that.
That's awesome, Adam. I think something I wanted to hit on, then we also have a question as well too, is something you had mentioned to me last week, and again in your intro there, is you're not doing cost plus contracts on all of your jobs. Are there kind of some guardrails or guiding principles that you guys have to determine when a client or a project would be a good candidate for, running it through a cost plus process? And then second half of that question, which actually came in live to the Q&A, which I think kind of feeds organically in here, is how often are you reviewing those costs with the clients once you decide to go down that route to keep them in the loop on actual cost during the build?
Yeah. Okay. So first one's first. We interview clients like we would interview, adopting a child or bringing somebody to our family, or are we going to get engaged to somebody? Marital status is an easy analogy here, but we spend a lot of time with our clients early on in the process. We talk about costs. We are fairly transparent on all costs related to project, but at a certain point, we're going to decide, are these costs, are we going to present these in the future as a cost plus nature, or are we going to present these as stipulated sum? And when I mentioned SS or CP, I'm talking about stipulated sum. Other folks might call it a fixed price. We call stipulated sum, where it is a contract with an amount at the bottom, and then we've got allowances. And those allowances are the only numbers that a client would see in a stipulated sum contract on that side of it. But the way that we choose, and we have this dialogue with our clients, it's just straight up transparent. How much information do you want to see, and how much information do you want to participate in through your build? Okay. Is your set of plans that we've been offered by architect and designer, is it at a level where we can bid everything and we're very comfortable that the amount that we set today is going to be the amount that at the end? Or do you anticipate that there's gray areas, or do we see unknown areas in the plans, and do we need to solve for them later at a point that's after our construction agreement? And hopefully not, but some point during construction. The other facet of it, though, is the psychological component. Very upfront about this with clients. I typically ask them, or one of our team members, ask them, what type of mindset do you have? If you're going to the car dealer, our team, the men here happen to be Ford guys, and we go to the Ford dealer. If we're interested in asking them, hey, thanks, this F-150, could you show me all the costs that go into that? I might not want some of those things. Well, Ford's not going to say, hey, we've got this, that, and the other thing, but I'm really not going to go in there and pick on, hey, it costs you guys $1,500 to install these tires. It costs you this much to do that. At this point, you're choosing a builder such as us because of our reputation and our brand and being known for quality. And you've seen a number of our projects already. So that all the numbers that are going into our contract are real numbers, and they're not just made up hypothetical, estimates, just wags pulled out of the air. So if you are a client that wants to see all those numbers and you're comfortable with them, I'm good with this. I'm good with showing them to you. However, if you're that client that wants to continually question why things cost this or why they cost that, or is there a better deal out there, all that's doing is eroding away from the plans and the specs and the quality of what you've set out to do. And it's taking time away from building that process and building that home. So I'd offer to those folks that allow me to save your marriage, allow me to help with your career, trust that we're using the same numbers that we're using in our stipulated sum estimates as we are in our cost plus estimates. And I'll show them to them. But we're not going to endure a whole lifetime of a project of 12 to 24 to 36 months by continually receiving questions on every invoice of, as I noticed, you went $200 over on the sheetrock bill. How did that happen? That happens through the course of construction. And there's many of examples of that, but you've got to build that rapport in the beginning to establish what happens in cost plus as well. And you also have to weed out those folks and just protect them and say, hey, you know what? This is what it would look like if we did cost plus, but I'm actually going to turn off this toggle in Buildertrend and label you as a client that we're going to stipulate a sum and know the comforts right there that we're going to do this in that way. Protect them and protect your team too. We've been in a number of jobs early on in cost plus where I'm going to talk to guys on the call and a lot of them are going to raise their hand. How many emails are we responding to at night of questions from clients about this invoice, that invoice, and the other thing? It's just not something that we're going to get into on a regular basis. Sure, we'll respond to the exceptions to that, but we're not going to respond to every single one of those invoices that come up that there's a question on.
That's perfect. I think that.
Did I hit both of those, Charlie?
Yeah, so the second half was, I think you really nailed on the front end, how you determine if a client is going to be a good fit for this type of estimating and pricing. I love the analogies and I love the hand waves, so I'm going to try to follow that theme as well too. The second piece of that was just kind of post start of the job. How often are you checking in with them to keep them in the loop?
Yeah, so the important part of, well, yeah, in pre-construction. So in pre-construction, it depends on which phase that we're involved in. So some of the projects that we receive requests to build, plans, specs, everything's done. Designer's done her job or their job, and we're given a whole package that we can very clearly bid. However, our favorite and most valuable service to our clients is to be involved in the beginning with an architect, with the owner, with the designers. And at that point, we are bidding that project, quote, estimating that project a number of times during that pre-construction process. It depends if it's a simpler house or a more complex house. We don't like to do it more times than necessary, but oftentimes for a decent sized home, we're probably doing a conceptual bid. We're doing one that's refined, and then we're doing our final bid. So we'll do 3. And pardon me, those are revisions to the initial conceptual bid. And as we share our screen later, you'll get a little bit of an idea of how that looks on our side. So we're doing it a number of times. And folks, you may think that that's a lot more work. I'm saying we built a foundation once. We're tweaking that foundation here and there, and we're getting to a final destination with certainty. And if there's one part of the process that I think is most valuable in offering cost plus opportunities to clients to participate, it's that they get the transparency the whole way through the process. The architects, one of the questions we talked about last week was, hey, Adam, benefits to the builder for cost plus and benefits to the client for cost plus. And I kind of went straight into, what are the benefits to the design team? What are the benefits to the architect, to the structural engineer? Because through pre-construction, if we can, we've got some wonderful architects here in Charleston we use across the East Coast here, incredibly talented individuals. Their designs are something that the investments that our clients are making in them are far exceed their cost, and they're creating these unique homes that we have the opportunity to build, but they don't have the knowledge of what it costs to build necessarily in Charleston, or for that ePay null post that we need to turn. They don't know how much that might cost. And so an architect without a builder, I think, is a really tough scenario for a client to be in, because he may be designing a project. I feel like he might be missing his right hand, and oftentimes. And I know that this might be relatively new in construction. Sure, some folks have probably been doing it for 10 or 20 years, but we'd like to participate at that level with those architects, engineers, and clients and designers, so that through the pre-construction process, by the time we hit the end of it, we're absolutely on target. There's no question that we've deviated here without a course correction back to the stations. And so that's the value. There's plenty of examples where we've been delivered a set of plans. We have had the opportunity to quote it, and it's 200, it's $1 million, it's $2 million over budget. The process that we have in pre-construction, no doubt, I bet if you would ask the architects and engineers that might be on the call, what is the most profitable job and seamless job that I ever went through? It's the one that they only had to draw one time. And so if they've got a builder involved who is also transparent in the costing exercise, doing cost plus and sharing all those numbers through the course of evolution, of the project, I don't think you miss very often. I just don't think it's possible.
I love it. We're getting some great questions in here. One from Melanie that is actually a really solid segue into the next section here. So I appreciate you guys making my job easier with these questions here is, do you use Buildertrend for presenting costs to clients? So the next section that we want to dig into, and the reason that we're having this webinar today, is Buildertrend, made a commitment about a year ago of, hey, we're hearing this request from our clients a lot. The industry is shifting towards more of a cost plus mindset. We need to build a product to support that workflow. And it's really not just one feature. That's something that we really stress at Buildertrend. We're rolling out cost plus. It's not like there's a new cost plus feature. There's probably 10 or 15 or 20 different things that we've implemented to really listen to our clients on how they want to use Buildertrend for this type of contracting. So I was wondering, Adam, obviously the question, do you use Buildertrend to show cost to clients? But I'd also just love to hear from you about some of the changes Buildertrend has made since you've started using it that has improved your processes as a cost plus builder.
Great. Yeah, I think we definitely should dive into that here just a second. And thank you for that. That is a wonderful question of how we're doing it. I'll point out that years ago, when we first started, it was just probably like most people, spreadsheet and yellow pad, right? That's where CopeGrand started for sure. And we were after then, that's probably also the primary project management tools was a spreadsheet and yellow pad. But after that, we figured out that those two things don't communicate with anybody else very effectively. And so we sought after the best platform for our software. We did find Buildertrend. We continue to reinvest our time. And this is an example of it, participating with Buildertrend to grow. Years ago when we started Cost Plus, Buildertrend had an opportunity for us to manage Cost Plus, but they did hear guys like us saying, hey, this system, we could, if we just showed it like this, or if we were able to demonstrate it better to our client, just kudos to you guys. You've taken all those changes, and I'll take a little bit about some. Bud shared this last week. You took all those things that we asked for and you did them. And so today, the cost plus opportunity, the opportunity for us to provide transparency and trust and relationships with our clients and our design partners is at the top notch. It's top notch level. So thanks for that. I will show my screen here in just a moment, but I've got to let somebody else talk on this call before I take it all over. Ben, do you want to go through some of the changes that you've noticed in Buildertrend, particularly related to cost plus over the last couple of years?
Yeah, just really to echo on that. I think when we first started with Buildertrend, maybe to give you an illustration, it's kind of like you went to the beach or you went to a waterway for the first time. Before you jump in the water, what do you do first? Well, you kind of maybe go tiptoe in, put your feet in, and that was us. That was like a lot of builders. But we made a full commitment, and with the help of Buildertrend, we fully dove in. And we always said, you'll hear us say this today, probably multiple times. We'll say, what does Buildertrend want us to do? So it took us a little bit of time to really kind of evolve with that. But as we're evolving, not only are we evolving, Buildertrend's helping us to evolve, and Buildertrend's platform is helping us to evolve to help us to be more profitable, and also help to improve our organization, which at the end of it really helps us to remove a lot of chaos that a lot of builders deal with. And people are still dealing with. I talked to another builder this morning, and we were talking about cost plus, and we were talking about accounting. And he's like, man, how do you do it? He's like, and I said, well, what platform are you working off of? You know what he said? He's still in Excel, and he's still chasing a ton of clients and chasing time. So we'll talk a lot about that today. But really, every week Buildertrend continues to update and respond to requests from his clients and builders like us. And we find a Buildertrend platform is consistently improving to benefit the ability to communicate, become more efficient, and therefore help us to become more profitable. And we say a lot of times, what is Buildertrend? And we say Buildertrend is one of our best communication tools. And we mean that to the heart. It really is. It helps us to communicate through and through. So we're really focusing on cost plus this week. So we're going to talk a lot about that. But just really over the past few years, Buildertrend has helped us to accommodate a cost plus accounting, which really is truly remarkable. And I think it really stems from, we've all been through a time. If you were building 2 or 3 years ago, you guys remember what? You remember COVID. So CopeGrand at the point in time, like Adam said earlier, we were working off a stipulated sum contract for most of our projects. But what did COVID really make us do? Well, COVID's made us almost have to go into, and it actually made almost every builder have to go into a cost plus contract. Because why? Because we can control what our material prices are going to be from today to tomorrow. In some point in cases, what our labor prices are going to be on a daily basis. And it really, if you weren't using a cost plus contract by the time COVID was done, you were likely underwater, very close to it. So it really helped us to focus on how can we help transition to cost plus. And then the next question was like, all right, Buildertrend, how can you guys help us to get there to provide us with the clarity that we need to show our clients how our operations and how our estimates to our invoices are working. So, and Buildertrend reached out and said, we're here for it. And it's amazing the point in time where we're at just a few years ago to where we're at now, because Buildertrend's provided us with that clarity to do so. And today we're going to give opportunity to really show through a screen share and how we do that. And certainly don't have enough time within 20, 30 minutes that are left to help show all these things, but we are going to help to show you how it's really helped us to become more organized and profitable, and also helping to keep our clients extremely happy with our process that we go through with Buildertrend. So it's really given us the ability to really be at the top tier of our organization within our industry. So, so a few other things we can cover too is we had a nice conversation with a client maybe last week, and he said, hey, I really love the option of hitting the cost to complete button. And so after a couple of years ago, we were working off of just regular budget, through Buildertrend, which is extremely helpful. But once we got into our cost plus, we needed a couple of different other features. And then recently, over last year, we now have our job costing budget, which significantly improved our ability and our visibility to our clients, and helping them to show us, or helping them show them on how they can be in tune with their budget on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So back in the old days, and sometimes a lot of builders deal with this, and many builders deal with this, when you first sign up for a contract, maybe the two most important questions are, hey, how much is it going to cost? And how long is it going to take? Well, great, awesome. So once you get past that and you sign a contract and you get into the project, what is the next favorite question? Hey, Ben, Adam, Bud, how much is it going to cost me to complete this particular project? And if you ask yourself that right now, let's say if one of your clients asks you that, how long do you think it would take to show your clients how much it would cost to complete their project? Say maybe you're 6 months in, or a 12-month project, or you're 12 months in on a 2-year project, whatever it might be. You have all this information, all these expenses that you spent over the last few months, and then you got to put in your selections, and you got to put in your change orders, and you're going to try to say, all right, well, I might need about, I don't know, give me a week and I'll get back to you. Well, by the time you start working on it, to the time you actually have that number, guess what's changed? You had so many X amount of invoices that came in, expenses that came in. So the ability that Buildertrend is giving us now is we can see on a day-to-day basis, and we can also not only see it on our side as a builder, as a professional, but we can also see it with their clients. And with a cost plus contract, we can show our clients that visibility to say, hey, look, here's exactly where our expenses are. Here's where your invoices are. And then, hey, look, here's this new really cool cost to complete button. And we have certain cost codes that have been completed, or certain tasks that have been completed. Say, for example, we finished up our foundation. Say we got $100,000 in our foundation. Great, guys, great news. We came in at $95,000. That task is done. Guess what? We're going to go ahead and hit that cost to complete button, and we're going to finalize that cost code, so that now as we start to progress through this project, you can see how we're progressing financially to help to give you what? To help to give you certainty. And we'll talk a lot about certainty as we go through our conversation today. And certainty does what? It helps relieve chaos. It helps relieve stress. And if you're a home builder, you know all too much about that, right? So Buildertrend has helped us to provide certainty and help to get rid of chaos and that stress that comes along with the industry. So among those things, not only on a cost plus side, but as Charlie spoiled out earlier, there's a lot of different avenues and features that Buildertrend has continued to help us to become professionals within our organization and helped us become more organized. And then as we get into the details, Bud's going to help us to show a couple of these just on how we can help to provide that detail when we're invoicing. Cost plus is giving us the ability to see how much margin and how much markup we're including on every single cost code, every single invoice that goes out. And not only that, when we talk about the time and investment that goes in along with this, maybe a couple of years ago, if we had to do this, it would be multiple hours that was spent into helping to find that particular number. Right now, as Bud's going to show you today, it's a few clicks away. So now you have the opportunity to give back to your organization, give back to your clients the time that they definitely need, and to help to give them the certainty on where they're at financially as you progress through the project. So some really good stuff there that's really helped us to improve our processes within an organization.
All right, so I'll take the next one and say, okay, I'll work on sharing my screen here in just a second. What you guys will see is, as I share it right now, and I also see some great questions. Charlie, do we want to take any questions right now in between, or are we good to go?
Let's try to get through the demo real quick, and then leave some time at the end there, just because, as always, at danger of going a little long here. So, but this is great information, so I want to make sure we can get through it all.
Will you confirm for me you can see my screen in Buildertrend?
Yep, looks great.
Okay, great. So for those BT users, this looks very familiar for you guys. This is a recent project. It does have its name changed. So it is all real information. It's real numbers. And I'm just going to go ahead and minimize this here. Try to take this to a different window. There we go. All right. So I really need to just demonstrate that I'm gonna build a proposal here soon, but where this estimate is right now is this estimate is complete. So this estimate probably has no shortage of 80 hours, 90, 120 hours worth of development through the CopeGrand team. Outside of the CopeGrand team, through the bids, which we're not covering today, but those are extremely powerful. There's probably another hundreds of hours, but you see the cost of the project. It requires this amount of time and this level of preparation to be prepared for a project of this size. It wasn't always that CopeGrand was doing projects of this size. It's, the last several years, our brand continues to grow and allow us to do the next most amazing project. And we're very grateful for architects and clients that continue to look at our work and ask us to do so. I do believe it's because we continue to set an expectation and the bar with how we present and how we prepare for our projects. And we do it right here through Buildertrend. So I'm scrolling down, and I've almost been scrolling down the whole time, and I haven't even really hit the bottom yet. So let me go ahead and just describe that we like to lock our estimates. Very important. There's many users at our organization. We don't want to lose track of changes, and so we lock our estimates when we're done working with them. And then as I'm getting ready to present a proposal, and this is going to go back to one of the questions, as I get ready to present a proposal, in Buildertrend, we're left with the screen right here, which is our job proposal tab. We've got our details and a preview. We've got our title for our proposal. We're addressing this here to Jack and Diane, John Mellencamp reference, if nobody knows it. We're describing to them the qualifications of their proposal, who we are as an organization. We don't have any closing text on this one. Sometimes there is. But I'm going to switch back over to the second tab here, which is called Owner Preview. I mentioned earlier in the call, there's an opportunity. This is one of the last opportunities to do it, where you decide with your client, or you decide as an organization, whether or not you are going to share full transparency on all of these numbers. Every single line item in our budget is going to have a number likely associated to it. So right here, if I just toggle off this one little thing, price, I hit save, I come back in here, it repopulates, and now I've got a stipulated sum proposal. Okay, so if there's future clients on this call, know that that's the only thing that changes. Our margin in this organization does not change from stipulated sum to cost plus contracts. Just too much to manage, and we know what our numbers are operationally, and so we just stick to it, and so our margin sticks to it as well. So I'm gonna hit the print button here. I am gonna leave time, guys, because we can open up this document again here for Q&A. But this is what we're gonna deliver to our clients as a cost plus proposal. I need to scroll down here for a second. and find my spot. I need to pick back up. Okay. I'm going to describe why I scrolled down through maybe 5 pages there. This is the setup of our estimates. This is templated. Okay. So as you grow in Buildertrend, you'll continue to morph your templates. We happen to be in Charleston County on this particular job here in Charleston. And our estimates are set up in a chronological order for the most part on how we're going to build out that job. So as I'm scrolling down here, you're seeing each one of our line items and the corresponding unit that's associated with those, and then the corresponding cost. When I present these budgets or estimates to our clients, to our architects, to our engineers, I'm presenting each and every single one of these line items for feedback. Okay. I want to know whether or not any of these seem out of line with the project goals. I want to elicit questions about why a certain thing might need to be 381 grand. Okay. That's a lot of money. What's included with it? So, the reason why we're so detailed in each one of these line items as well is because I want our clients to know exactly what they're getting for that $726,000. It happens to be a full copper roof system, guys. So inflated. When this one was bid, copper was at a high. So don't be leaving any messages that it seems like too much. That is also the conversation. For example, if I want to have a conversation with a client, I'm making sure as I'm building the estimate, I'm making sure that I'm putting it in here to have that conversation as a client. This proposal is accompanied to our cost plus agreement later. So here's a note. Builder recommends revisiting copper pricing periodically for procuring material early. Copper is a commodity, and it often can be constrained as well. This is a disclaimer. Prepare your clients for the job. You know what you're going to expect. Let's just put that information in here and have a longer conversation in the beginning at setting up the expectations for success for the project. So this continues to go down. I think this proposal is probably 28 pages. And we arrive all the way at the bottom through allowances, typical allowance here for appliances, cabinetry, those sort of things. We are detailing them. This project, some of our proposals are even more detailed than this. It definitely depends on how much is available from the designers, the architects, engineers, etc., from how much detail that we'll put in here. You guys are welcome to come back to this video and pause it and write me an email or text me and say, hey, Adam, can I have some more information about how you described this or what you did with that? We did say, if I didn't say, I'll say it again, we're open book on everything that we like to do. I was going to bring the full list today to you guys and not hold anything back. So definitely let me know if you'd like to see anything more. I'm happy to get into it. This number here is the total proposal for this cost plus project. However, it is not what this project started with. And here's something I think that is inherently important to cost plus projects, and particularly the way that we estimate through Buildertrend. I can do the same thing with a stipulated sum proposal, but let's say somebody wants to come back. In this project, we were not in pre-construction services. There are some pre-construction questions that showed up in a chat. Hopefully we get to those. This one, we were not involved with the pre-construction services agreement. So we did not get to design this house with a client, with an architect, with the designers, so that we could target the cost associated with it. We were brought in at the end of design in a bid process. And then after the bid process was complete, we were then asked to provide VE opportunities. VE, value engineering. How do we save money, guys? Can you show me a path? We thought that VE exercise was going to be reasonable. And then we delivered our response, and then we went back for round 2. And so I want to show you how we used Buildertrend to describe how we were changing the scope of work. So, or recommending or offering to change the scope of work to find savings. So in that, we went to each one of our line items in our budget and we put it to the test, okay? And we reduced cost everywhere where we had an opportunity to reduce cost. If the project cost is being reduced, we're able to reduce our warranty fees, okay? There's a third-party fee for our organization, so we were able to provide a credit there. If our construction costs are getting reduced, our permitting fees are getting reduced, all right? So each and every single one of these, I do not want to go to a client and through a VE exercise and provide them a revision log on an Excel spreadsheet that just says $1 million. We think we can find it in these 5 different locations. We're not thinking where we can find it. We're describing and illustrating and representing where we're going to find it. And then we're having a conversation about each one of these areas with our clients again to make sure that through that VE exercise, to make the project viable, are you also okay with adjusting the scope of work to not include this or to remove the copper gutters and downspouts and go with aluminum? Okay. And what you'll see here is we removed the copper and then we went back in with galvalume. So it was a fair and equitable trade. We weren't just removing all the gutters altogether and just kind of stopped there for a random opportunity to talk about something. But I'm going to wrap this up by coming down to our revision log, the end of our revision log here, and the 7 million figure thereabout. We were able to, and this, I don't recommend trying to do this because it's extremely difficult. We're able to get 2.1 out of a $9 million job. But if I didn't have the opportunity to demonstrate it this way through Buildertrend in an organized manner with real numbers that are backed up by bids and estimates from our subs and suppliers, I would have handed somebody a spreadsheet with a lot of uncertainty, a lot of my uncertainty. And I might have still been able to earn that job, but I'm sure I would have paid the price somehow throughout that job on a cost plus contract. You said you were going to be able to get to this price for copper gutters or copper roof or whatever it might have been. And we chose you for that reason, but then you not be able to do it. This is why being accountable on cost plus contracts is so important. So I'm encouraging just spend the amount of time in pre-construction to prepare your budgets and estimates for cost plus so that you don't end up spending 2 or 3 times the amount of time later on. Okay. So
Hey,
I'm sure questions about this. We'll revisit it, but that was a good demonstration.
couple quick questions. I think we can knock out really quick. That right-hand price column, is that the builder cost or the client cost with your fee?
Yeah. So when we had done this one, that is the client cost on that right-hand column, and then we will build in a particular percentage margin for overhead fees to that in its own individual line item. The new rollout of features on Buildertrend, and we've been applying this to newer jobs, is we're now able to go to the line items and say, hey, here's our percentage, and it marks up each one of those. So it used to be that the format of Buildertrend and the format that we chose, I'm going to go back in and put my hands up here in a second. You can choose to use Buildertrend any way you want. At that time, we were choosing to use it that way, where we just separated our margin into a single cost code and we showed it and represented it there. Now, oftentimes on our team, we do this and we say, what does Buildertrend want us to do? Okay, Buildertrend emphasizes best practices by the way they design their software. Don't ignore them. We did in the beginning and we fell short. We continued to raise our hands up in the air and say, how does Buildertrend want us to do it? We evaluate it from a team and we go ahead and do it the way that Buildertrend wants us to do it. So in the newer projects that we've got now, we are doing that percentage margin. This will segue into Bud's part of the presentation here too. Is that a good answer, Charlie? Or you want another one?
That's a great answer. Yeah, let's have Bud, if you don't mind sharing some of the purchase order and invoicing side of things. While you're pulling that up, another question for you, Adam, from Greg Cantor, who him and Steve Tankersley been on the building code before, so another shameless plug. He wants to know if you won that job that you just shared.
Oh, good question. We officially have the handshake and the head nod on that job, which is pretty cool. The feedback, just to be candid, guys, and transparent, like we were in a bid process. I view our peers, other builders in Charleston and around, like brothers, like peers, not as competition. So I don't mean that head nod to be braggadocious. Next thing that I say, I don't mean to be anything different, but I do mean to celebrate our team and the effort that our team puts into this. The feedback that we got from owners, architect, and designer after we presented this proposal to all of them was probably some of the best feedback we ever got. I never had somebody tell me that was a professional that have seen this time after time, that this was the best presentation that I've seen in 18 years. And that was literally some feedback that we got on this particular proposal months ago. So Yeah, thanks. I did see a couple questions come through Tangersley, so we will hit those too because I think they're important.
Cool. Bud, do you mind sharing your screen? There we go.
Sure.
One step ahead of me.
So I wanted to mention that when I started my career in home building, my technology was a beeper and a pocket full of quarters. Buildertrend's brought us a long way. So I want to, first of all, show you something with the customer invoice side of things. And we'll get back to this in a minute. But when I click this add from button, I want you to notice how that changes as I go forward. So first thing I'm going to do is generate some bills from a purchase order. So this is a purchase order that I created for this demonstration, and it's got 3 different categories. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new bill from this purchase order. So this brings us up to where we're going to select the amount we're going to pay for the bill. So I'm going to go ahead and apply 100% to this. And trying to get down here. I'm going to create the bill. And then I'm going to add my attachments, just like you would do in creating a standalone bill.
The key to transparency through Cost Plus, as Bud's adding attachments now, one of the improvements that Buildertrend has made is our clients get to see every single invoice on their portal. So when there's an invoice attached to a PO or a bill, they have the opportunity to review it on their own, not call you and ask you about it as an interview.
So I've now created this bill. I'm gonna mark it ready for payment, just as you would do with a standalone bill. Well, not today. So I've created a bill from a purchase order. And let me see here. And now I'm going to show you how to turn that bill or those bills into a customer invoice through the Cost Plus process.
You're looking for the, yeah.
There we go. I was just having trouble with my window. So I'm going to create an owner invoice. And what I'd like to do is do that through expenses, maintaining the transparency that Adam talks about. So now when I click add from, I've got the option of adding from bills. And it's only going to choose the bills that have not yet been included. So I get the opportunity of every bill that exists that hasn't been included in a previous customer invoice to add to that invoice. Now, this is very important, and it has to be set up with the job as you set it up, but you want to be able to import attachments to owner invoice. If you don't allow it when you set up the job, you won't get the opportunity to check this box. So when I check this box, it's now going to incorporate the attachments to each bill. So I'm going to bill all of these items. And I forgot to put in my markup on the previous screen, so I'll add it here. And I'm going to save it and release it. And now I can preview it as the owner would see it. So I've chosen these items to display in the owner invoice. Here they are. The owner can see if you want them to. Now, if you don't want them to see this, you can hide the line items and just do a lump sum. But this detail kind of dovetails into the transparency that we've been talking about. And we've got this detail to show them. They know exactly what our markup is. And here are the attachments from the invoices or from the bills. So really, you can show them everything that we can see on the builder side if you choose to, or you can limit that as you see fit.
That's awesome. Thanks, Bud. I think something that we really stress here at Buildertrend is just like the life cycle of a line item, ensuring that nothing changes and you have that visibility into everywhere that has been. And I think your workflow right there demonstrated that really well. You know, originating from the estimate, going out and billing it, going and invoicing the client. That's all the same thing throughout, and you're able to see exactly where those costs and markups are coming from.
Well, it really starts with the estimate. And, you know, the more robust your estimate is, the more sense this is going to make downstream. It's all a building block.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to share here? Otherwise, I know we have about 8 minutes left. I'd love to tackle some of these questions as well.
Yeah, let's roll over those.
Cool. Adam, was there any that you had kind of at top of mind here that you saw? Otherwise, I'll just kind of tick down the list here.
No, go for it. Yep.
Cool. So the first one that came in was really just around, you know, timing. There's actually been a few of these around the time it takes to get that level of detail there. What have you guys seen in your experience? To me, from your walkthrough, it seems like a little bit more upfront time to save you time down the road. But with time being such a critical aspect of running a construction business, what have you kind of seen from a save time or additional time to save headache perspective of transitioning to this type of billing?
Yeah, I think that, gosh, when I think about that time, I think about maybe as an investment or a cost. The CopeGrand years ago was having a cost of spending more time after the job started and in the field, and time with clients to review budgets and performance. These days, we've got a heavy pre-construction effort, and that time is an investment for us now, where we're not inundating our project managers and other stakeholders to have those conversations that are always. They always seem like you had to create a spreadsheet to describe what you were trying to, or what you needed to solve for an answer. Ben mentioned that thing earlier, which has always been the most popular question in cost plus contracts is, what is my cost to complete? Okay. By the client, what is my cost to complete? And you might have that question, 12, 24 times in a cycle of a build. And now it is so easy for them to just log on to the other side of what Bud didn't get to show yet today to see the new job costing budget and see exactly what was in there for job costs, where we're on target, which ones are completed, what expenses do we expect. Here's the cost to complete, which is a sum of expenses paid already. And that transparency, I think, just saves time. And when you save time, that is an investment, not a cost. And so I think that's a realization that you're going to spend the time anyway. Where do you want to put it? And we've just morphed into putting it up front. Also, too, I didn't mention this for the responsibility to you and your business. In cost plus contracts, clients ask, what is the cost to complete? In stipulated sum contracts, nobody's asking that. But you as a business owner should be. That responsibility then falls onto you as a business owner. What is our cost to complete? How much have we taken in through draws to fund the project? Where are we above and below budget? What is the cost to complete? Do I have enough money to manage this company and to take on the next job? Too often do I feel like percentage margins or cost inaccuracies, failures in budgets just leads to this vicious spiral in building where builders are faced to go into this Ponzi scheme type of process where they're just taking deposits from one job to put to the next one because of they haven't made the investment in the front end on preparing and pre-construction and putting together a solid budget. Buildertrend gives you the opportunity to do it and organize it. You just got to put in the time and information because every project's going to be different, but it's going to be similar.
Love it. A couple kind of quick hitter questions here. First, are you building a contingency into your cost plus estimates? If so, who has ownership of any remaining funds, and how do you track contingencies in BT?
Yeah, there's actually great question. I got some PTSD with this one. Bud, this was probably about 20 years ago when I'm sitting in a cubicle in Bud's office and putting together these multi-million-dollar budgets to do different things. And Bud asked me if it was complete. Is this budget complete? And I said, yes. And so we're reviewing it. And there was a contingency line item at the bottom. And I don't know what it was, 5% or something like that. And he said to me, well, what's that for? And I said, well, not in case we miss something or in case something happens. And Bud's response to me was, you mean to tell me that you don't know everything about this project yet? And that you can't figure out what you don't know? And I was like, drop the mic, So Bud walks back to his office and I get back to work. And that today still is ingrained with me. However, do we put in a contingency to protect our clients? Yes, in the appropriate area or areas. Is that where plans don't quite yet have the detail yet? Yes, we put it in there and I describe what it is. It's more so a budget, being a little bit conservative in some areas, but more so than it is an overarching contingency of like, hey, let's just plan for 2%. Let's plan for 5%. I'd rather say I'm certain in 8 out of 10 areas, and these 2 areas are the only ones, client, that I think something could change in because of volatility in copper or materials or sub-slab stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, just to get back on the end of that question too, is who gets a remainder, right?
Oh,
So say for simple numbers, if you have, just say whatever cost cutter it is and whatever you call it, say it's $5,000. On a cost plus contract, you are only invoicing for what's been invoiced. So say maybe you only use 2,500 of it. Where does the remainder go? Well, they only get invoiced for 2,500, so it really goes back to the client.
Yep, client keeps it. And then we get to hit that complete button and it shows them that they get that credit on their job. Great question.
Another quick one here. During your pre-construction process, do you obtain a retainer fee to create buy-in early from the homeowner? If yes, is it a flat fee or percentage of the build/renovation?
Yes, 100% we do. We started pre-construction agreements, PSAs, years and years ago. We've been through several iterations of, hey, it's a fee, it's a lump sum, to now, and a couple iterations in between there. But now we're just hourly. Okay, so some clients need a lot more time, some projects need a lot more time. And so we've went over and said, hey, we're going to take a retainer and then we're going to invoice our pre-construction time on an hourly basis. So that way it's fair. So we really did go to a transparent model there with our clients as well. We just said, hey, we're going to be doing a lot of work for you. This is an investment into your project. You want us to do it as professionals. And this team here is absolute professional. We just need to make sure that we compensate their time for doing it so that we can add value to your project. Does that sound good with you? Absolutely. So we go retainer and then hourly.
Perfect. There's been a couple questions. I know Bud demonstrated this with the markup. Are you just setting percentage type and project settings to either markup or margin with a percentage, or do you add a separate line item that shares your cost plus to the clients to complete transparency?
My preference is to do it line by line, and showing it as a markup, which you've got to understand the difference between markup and margin. Obviously, margin's calculated off of revenues and markups calculated off expenses, so they are very different. But yes, I want to show the client that detail line by line. It also allows you, as you make changes going forward for unexpected costs or unexpected savings, it will adjust your margin as you adjust things in your budget. And we do that through change orders and variances.
There's a ton of great questions here, and I know we're at time. Adam, Bud, Ben, do you guys have a few extra minutes to tackle some of these?
Yeah, I'd love to stay on. Yeah.
Cool. I'm free as well too. So I know this technically went till noon. So if anyone needs to drop off, obviously feel free. It's still recording. So if we go another 2 hours after this, that'll all be recorded and we'll send it out. But if you do have to drop off, really, really appreciate the time joining. We'll try to, keep this. I was joking about 2 hours. We'll try to keep this to another, 5-10 minutes or so. But for the people that do have time conflicts after this, wanted to thank you again for joining, and you will get the full recording after this.
All right, bonus time. Let's do it.
Bonus time. Here we go. How do you estimate punch list and warranty? Is it percentage of project cost based on historicals?
Yeah, percentage for warranty and punch list. It's also going to be evaluated on a sliding scale percentages. So we look at previous jobs numbers and we understand what we need. Where is the job? Is it oceanfront? Is it inland? Is it slab? Is it elevated? How complex are the plans and what are the cost of the materials? And that sliding scale percentage is used. And it's not going to be an exact science, guys. You're just making your best effort to budget for something there. And we are putting that budget into the cost of the job.
Cool. There were 3 or 4 questions here. Actually, I think everyone was a little impressed and or shocked at the level of detail that you had in that estimate proposal that you showed. And a couple of questions around just more overarching. Is your project management, admin, supervision cost a line item, or does this come out of your markup? Another similar question is, do you bill for the hours of estimates that you're putting in, or is that just a service that you provide your client?
Yeah. All right. So the evolution too here of CopeGrand, and also thank you guys for these detailed questions. Specifically this one, we, markup margin. I was hoping for some questions related to how do you bill, how do you invoice, what is the psychology behind, those things. The most important thing I think to begin with is knowing your business's numbers. Okay. You have to survive. You have to pay your bills. You have to retain quality talent. So budget to do so. After that, how you invoice for the client, whether project management is above the line or below the line, is up to you, completely up to you. And again, on our stipulated sum versus cost plus contracts, it doesn't matter where it is, does it? Right? It's still a cost of the job. However, we have been demonstrating that project management is above the line as a cost of the job.
Question here. This one obviously has a few options or a few answers, but interested to see how you guys do it. How do clients pay after they receive the invoice?
As quickly as possible.
Yeah, quickly.
Hey, we've got Joe B. If you ever listen to this, Joe B, you are the fastest client that ever pays. If there's 24 hours between his invoice and when he wires money from his institution, it's remarkable. So shout out Joe B. I'm not saying his last name on purpose. Our clients are fantastic. They know that in order to pay for their job, we need to make sure that we have the income there in our account to pay our subs and keep them motivated and moving. So number one, how do we get that money? Typically through wires. How do we want that money in the future? Through Buildertrend's opportunities to invoice and receive money and it go to our bank account. That's efficiency and automation. And that is what is saving time, money, and making things more predictable. So that is where we want to be with it. But right now, do we still get checks in our PO box because some of us are old fashioned? Absolutely. And we accept that as well. Thinking about the advantage, another thing that just popped in my brain about cost plus, as opposed to stipulated sum. In cost plus contracts, kudos to Bud again, man. He just, all these things are coming up that he's like burnt into the back of my brain. Bud used to always make sure that we kept our income as close to the expenses as possible. Okay. So cost plus, we invoice every single month for cost plus. We could invoice bi-weekly for cost plus, but there's nothing better than keeping, for the sake of your business health, keeping your expenses as close to the income as possible and moving on to the next month. It gives you ultimate transparency to know if things are going wrong too. So thank you. I wanted to bring that up. That was a great question too. So thanks for making me think about that, keeping costs as close to income as possible.
Yeah, another quick one that I think I could probably answer, but just to make sure I don't mess it up. I like to do line items, but it can quickly become overwhelming for the client. 10 invoices for gravel, for example. I would like to be able to do one line item for gravel with 10 attachments. Does anyone else feel this way or have a solution other than manually doing it? I believe, Bud, when you were showing that, there was an option inside of Buildertrend to actually hide the line items, right? And just show the kind of aggregated rolled up amount, right?
There is, yes. And it will
Yeah.
still populate the job costing budget the way you want to see it, even if you hide that detail from the client.
So this one, there's a couple questions here about accounting systems. And so maybe to answer them all at once and move relatively quickly there. Are you guys also using an accounting system integrated with Buildertrend, or keep everything inside of Buildertrend? If it is connected, how does that kind of back and forth work for you guys?
I understand Buildertrend is making potentially. I think they're making some moves to help absorb what people typically go to QuickBooks for. We still use QuickBooks to manage our bank accounts, and so Buildertrend seamlessly connects with QuickBooks online. Okay, if you're still on QuickBooks desktop, I would say just go ahead and bite the bullet, make that change, because nothing is not going to be in the cloud and talking to each other, and that's just kind of makes it more difficult. But we're using QuickBooks Online in addition to Buildertrend.
Yeah. We don't have any product people from Buildertrend on the call here, but I think I could say this kind of blanket statement is, Buildertrend is not trying to be, an accounting system and not trying to replace or tackle QuickBooks, but we do want to make that integration and back and forth as seamless as possible. Transparency with clients. So you also provide all invoices for the client in a stipulated sum agreement as you do in a cost plus scenario.
No, absolutely not. In a stipulated sum, I mean, it's choose your comfort and choose your preference. If I use an example of going over $200 on sheetrock, some jobs it's $2,000, sometimes 200, sometimes I go under 200 or $2,000 on sheetrock. That is a stipulated sum. You just trade the risk with clients, right? So do you want to take the risk on me needing to make some repairs or fix this or fix that? And are you happy with the outcome of that and participate on the things that I come under budget on? Well, hey, cost plus is probably for you. If you don't even want to think about that or have those conversations, let's just go stipulated sum and stay that route, and then you don't have to worry about it. So the only invoice they ever see on stipulated sum, and some folks genuinely just prefer this, is every draw request, and that's it. Nothing else.
Okay, there's a few.
Thank you guys for asking all these questions, and I'm good. I'm on a roll with this, so I'm glad to be able to just answer these and share what we do.
This is another one I think Buildertrend probably allows the flexibility to do both. But when adding invoices to a bill, should the name of the invoice be generic, i.e. invoice 123, or specifically retitled plumbing $2,000 to allow the recipient to see the title before opening the attachments? I believe the invoices are auto-populated with that number, but you do have the flexibility to overwrite that if you want, correct?
We just keep it in chronological order on our side. But other businesses, it might be, for a contracting business, it might make sense to say, hey, we're going to invoice for plumbing now. Oftentimes we're invoicing for a number of things on an invoice. So it's deposit, because we take two of them, and then we go draw per month, the whole way through construction for as long as it takes.
We're going to bill every expense that's incurred since the prior bill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, we're just going to title it invoice number 1, 2, or 3, because we're going to be billing multiple cost codes.
That makes sense. Another one from Greg here. How do you avoid clients going off the reservation and wanting to bring in their own bids or questioning your bid packages?
Yeah, that's a tough
like
one.
another PTSD question here.
Yeah, no, this is really good. Number one, is it the right client for you to begin with? Does that ever stop? Okay, just evaluate that. I know that, sitting here, that you may, I really need this job. I really want this job. It could be good for me. It's going to take care of overhead. Well, in that case, if that's your decision, you got to manage that client, and you got to be completely comfortable with your numbers. So the only way that I would feel uncomfortable, uncertain, stressed in a conversation related to somebody else's bid and them comparing mine against theirs is if I didn't do my job on knowing all my costs of that project. And so then again, it's just the investment side of it. Where do you want to spend that time? When it costs you later, or do you want to make that investment up front? I would offer to make it up front. I understand also that you don't always have the time, but two things with time. If I could offer this, anybody that wants to offer that they don't have the time to do something, just replace that they don't have the priority to do it yet. Okay. So just change that mindset and it might help you shift into this is what I need to spend time on today or tonight rather than that other thing. The other thing is you can ask for more time. Hey, this is a lot of work, guys. I want to demonstrate my best work to you, but my mason really needs 2 weeks to build together. My roofer foundation got XYZ, and then it's going to take me a couple weeks to organize all this information to present it. So ask for more time. That will build you credibility. You are not going to be a hero by being the first one that submits a bid.
Well, let me also add that you can always blame it on insurance companies as to why they can't bring in their own vendor. But I'd also encourage you to develop a waiver that identifies your company's hourly cost in the event that things don't go exactly as planned with that outside vendor.
Yeah, I'd avoid using outside guys.
Stay on the reservation.
Yeah, I just stick to your guns, know your costs, know the value, and show and demonstrate to them later why. Yeah.
Cool. We have 4 more questions here that I think we can get through.
Yeah.
We do cost plus, but with a fixed fee. Adding line item level markups do not level out to the fixed fee in the end. If you have overages on a line item and you're adding 20% to that, wouldn't that be an issue for the client? I haven't found a way to do this in BT except having our fee on a separate line and charging it by % complete per owner invoice.
Yeah, I think that you just number one, and this is just opinion, guys. It's not legal advice. It's just experience. We never want to do a fixed price or a fixed fee contract ever again. Every single one of them that we've ever done, we have done for particular reasons, and it feels like after every one of them, we regret doing it. So if you're able to go straight cost plus and obtain that same margin, I think the communication, accounting, your profit predictability, your ability to show WIP. Now, WIP is a term that we haven't talked about yet in this call, but maybe another time we'll get deeper into that. But cost plus enables you to calculate your work in progress accounting so much easier if you choose to do cost plus. I'm not going to say that that's the only reason why we just do one or the other, but yeah, fixed fee, I can't offer too much advice there because we just try to avoid it and offer something that we know works for us and go that route.
You can also utilize the same client invoice process. You just wouldn't put in the markup, and you would carry your fixed fee as a line item that's billed. You could do it as a % complete or monthly or anything like that.
This next one I actually think is a really good question around just how you speak to the markup and your different fees. So from Joe here, can you speak to markup and how CopeGrand allocates it to their projects? I understand that it can be a question re proprietary efforts, but with respect to transparency, fee differs from all of our peers, but fees are frequently misrepresented, and it benefits all of us to speak to them and represent them similarly. For clarity, builder fee, site supervision, labor warranty.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot to discuss there, and I think that you're right. It would be fantastic if there was an industry norm of how we describe that. Sounds like you've got some experience with other peers in your market that utilize it in a different way to maybe hide or defer, differentiate different costs in order to earn their margin. I would agree that it would just be nice if there was a line item at the bottom, and this is how much the builder was going to earn on this project. But I think the most important thing, and I think the reason why folks, and in part us, have broken out different expenses related to our overhead and profit number, is there's so much that's packed into that. that number, that we feel like it's important to describe to folks, we're not just going to call it a percentage of, and I'm just going to use an even number at 20%. Hey, this job, we're going to do a cost plus 20%. Nobody ever talks about what's in that 20%. And I feel like that's the disservice to the client. And maybe the thing that and this may not be the answer you're looking for, but the reason why we choose to demonstrate our margin, our overhead, the way that we do is because it makes it more understandable that we've got vehicles, equipment, taxes, administrative, softwares, office equipment, like all these things that we need to run a professional organization, including professional people, that we need to protect them with. And so that justifies our margin in every single case. The guys that are also competing on margin just to say, hey, I wish everybody would just do 20, or I wish everybody would just do 15. By the way, anything below 15, especially in our market, but I think around the world, is way too low, and is that Ponzi thing that I mentioned earlier. Make sure that you are identifying the cost of your organization, what you need to survive, and making sure that you're within the industry norms, because those industry norms are survivable, right? The guys that get out of them are the ones that tend to not survive and be the outliers.
Perfect. Last two questions here. This one goes back to when we were talking about the contingency remainder. When the contingency remainder cost overruns be a holdback in escrow?
We don't, I'm sorry, escrow and where maybe. So for example, like our cost plus, one of the items that might be a contingency line item that we have the opportunity to utilize for different things. And we describe how we utilize that or what we're able to use it on. Pardon me, at the end of the job, that one particular contingency, although it's not labeled that, contingency line item is underutilized. Let's say we budget 20 grand for it and we only come in and spend 15. Once we do our final rec on that job and we hit 100% complete, that $5,000 remainder is no longer a cost of the job. We don't bill our margin on it and it becomes the client. So they realize that benefit in their cost to complete. I do realize that there might be escrows held in some builders for warranties. So, hey, we're budgeting warranty costs, and how do we make sure that we bill that from the client so that we have it later? This just stays at the moment just an open line item for us, and we'll invoice those costs as we have them if that is outside of or within our agreement to do so.
Perfect. Then kind of last question here. Do you recommend that all sub/vendors you work with are on board with Buildertrend?
Yes.
100%.
But it's much easier. It's much easier said than done. However, it's getting better. And I think if I would encourage Buildertrend to look at that side of things too, to make it easier for vendors and subcontractors to utilize the program. They often have to log into multiple accounts if they're working for multiple Buildertrend clients. But I think that, we're bringing a lot of them along. And the thing is if you give them a place to go get information, most of them will go there to get it.
Yeah. The beautiful thing about that too is helping to influence and spending the time with your subcontractors to do that, because it's just like Buildertrend, just like jumping. Like we had an illustration earlier, jumping into a river you've never been into before. They don't want to mess with it because they've never been in there before, right? But if you spend that time with your vendors, you show them the love, you help take them out to lunch, whatever you need to do, get them some pizza, and help show them how to utilize that. I had a guy text me the other day. He's like, hey man, I logged on to Buildertrend, I couldn't find the appliance specs or the cabinetry specs. And I was like, I freaking love you, because I'm glad you didn't call me first to ask for these things when you know it's on Buildertrend, right? So I just kind of had to help redirect him, like, hey, get this job, get this folder, and you'll have all the information in there. But that's kudos, because the vendors are trying, right? So, but if you don't pay attention to it, you don't push on it, they're not going to give you any feedback. So I think that has a lot of influence with each contractor to help educate their vendors on how to use BT and how to make sure it's part of their process to help improve everybody's experience. And so when you do, you sleep better at night, right? It's a beautiful thing.
we would undoubtedly be more efficient and effective and profitable. And I don't mean to talk about profitable. I know some people or clients would be like, oh, profit is such a bad word. No, it's the performance and the the health of your business is profitability. Everybody would be if we were on the same system. And so I don't mean to make a monopoly out of it, but I'm encouraging that all of our subs on our team, all of our trades have access to that because it's our number one communication tool. And we're using it at every level that we can. So we do support that 100%.
Well, we did have one more, a couple more questions come in.
That's all right.
I do want to answer because it is something that our product team is working on. So and again, no one's on product is on this call right now, so I can promise things and you can't hold me accountable to them. But the question is, and I'll let you guys answer, but I do want to plug a feature enhancement that's coming down the road soon. Do you require a deposit at the beginning? We require a 10% deposit and have to just keep all job costs on invoice 1 until that deposit is exhausted. Is that how you're having to track in BT as well? So that's the workaround, and I'll let you guys answer that. But the one thing I did want to plug is we are releasing new functionality soon, which will allow them to apply the deposit payment across invoices as needed.
Oh, great. That's fantastic.
Amen.
Yep. I mentioned earlier that we request, it's part of our process that we have 2 deposits. We take a deposit at construction agreement signing to hold your spot in our start schedule. And then another one when we receive our building permit. Okay. And so those 2 deposits, the amount of those deposits, the way that we do it, and the way that we explain it is the amount of those deposits is typically your average monthly spend as the builder. Okay. So if it's a $1.2 million job, easy numbers, $1.2 million job, it's a 12-month build. Our deposit is going to be a combination in 2 phases, $100,000, because we're going to spend $100,000 a month to build your house. And so that's what we're holding in escrow until the end of the job. And over the last 3 months, we're giving credit to that deposit. So when you open up that new functionality, we're going to do this again and say, how does Buildertrend want us to do it? And we're probably going to follow your lead.
Well, another thing is currently we manage our deposits through financial statements so that there's not big swings in the reporting that take place when you collect a deposit or when you have to give it back. So that's where it's managed currently.
Yeah. There was a time where deposits on our account were not shown as liabilities. Go ahead and ask your bookkeeper and make sure that your deposits are shown as liabilities on your accounting system so that you're not fooled by how much money is actually in your bank account.
Perfect. Well, we got through them all.
Wow, good.
Only 23 minutes over. That's not too bad. I cannot thank you 3, Adam, Ben, Bud, enough for making the time today, giving this level of detail, this level of transparency. I found it super, super beneficial, and I work at a tech company, not in construction, so I can't imagine how beneficial our attendees found it. And if you are still on the call, see there's about 50 people still here. Thank you so much for tuning in today and staying with us as we went over here to answer all those questions. Any closing remarks from you guys? Otherwise, I'll wrap things up.
No, I think that we're advocates for builders. We're advocates for construction. We're advocates for combining efficiencies and technology into what we do, so that we can focus on the things that we love, which is construction and family, and spending more time with them. So truly, your software allows us to be able to spend more time with family and focus on our business and on our craft. So thank you guys. And the more that we get to do this, honestly, the more that we get to spend time with an audience like this and our other builder buddies through any of those groups, it just opening up the conversation makes us so much better. We enjoy being on, we enjoy participating. And through that, another reason why we're fully transparent, especially when we're talking about cost plus contracts. How can you not be? So thanks for having us on. We've enjoyed it and had a lot of fun too.
Hey, I also want to thank Buildertrend for listening. It's obvious that you've been listening.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys again so much. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. And I'm sure we'll be, we have to set up another one of these down the road.
Good.
Okay.
All right.
Appreciate you guys.
Hey,
Thanks,
thank you all for being
Appreciate
on.
it.
We enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
Bye.
See you.